There's a German poet, Rilke, and he suggests that we should not worry too much about answers, but rather live the questions, that in due time, the answers will materialize. And the question that I have lived for a while is what exactly is in a conversation? And the case that I used to seek the answer to that question was the School of Politics, the European School of Politics. It's based in Istanbul. Its full name is Boğaziçi University European School of Politics. It has been around for 12 years. It runs intensive 8-day programs. And its significant feature is how diverse its participants are. So if United States was one shared reference that we could all relate to, we wouldn't do a session unless there was substantial participation from, let's say, Proud Boys, various shades of the MAGA coalition, but at the same time, Black Lives Matter, Black Panthers, Nation of Islam, and every other shade in between. Or if we were in the UK or in Germany, unless there was significant participation from IFIT or Reform, we wouldn't consider organizing a session. The typical cohort is 30 to 35 people. The median age is 29. The program is free of charge, which is important to us. We even cover out-of-pocket expenses of all of our participants as well. And if anyone is interested why we choose to do this, I'm happy to elaborate. In terms of the curriculum, there are four sessions each day. Every session is 90 minutes each, 45 minutes of a lecture and another 45 minutes of Q&A. The themes we cover in 20 or so sessions are sometimes 45,000 feet issues like constitution, human rights regime. We talk about policy issues. How do you grow an economy? Proper size of social policy, sustainability, gender mainstreaming, and things like that. We also do teamwork, where we divide the whole cohort into 5 randomly assigned groups, and they work on a policy issue for 6 days to present to their peers. We do this because we want them to taste pluralism. We could lecture them about how diverse groups perform better than their single brightest or most resourceful members, but rather than we telling them this, we want them to experience this. And at the end of their presentation, we ask them a single question. Would you have preferred to work on this issue with like-minded people from your own party, or was this better? And we have done this now 120 times. There hasn't been a single case where people said, this much pluralism was not a good idea. In the first day of the cohort, we talk about ground rules, where we tell them that we value a conversation more than debate, that curiosity is more important temperament for us than indignation, self-righteous or not, that we have to assume good faith at all times, that you're here with 30 other people coming from very different walks of life. This is the most pluralistic environment that most of our participants have ever experienced in. We want them to assume that everyone around the table wants a better Turkey and a better world as much as they do, albeit different routes. Okay, so everything is up for discussion except each other's goodwill. We always sit in a circle, so that we don't just see the speaker, but we see each other. In the introductions, before they come, they have seen the CVs of everyone. So when they're introducing themselves, we give them the option that if you want to talk about the schools you graduated and the jobs you have worked at, that's fine. But at the same time, we want to know one fact that only your best friend knows and no one else does. And then we start as the project team to talk about an embarrassing thing about ourselves, to look silly, so that we signal to the group that it is okay to be vulnerable and imperfect. And so we want to get to a high level of trust as early as possible and use the rest of the 8 days in that assumption of good faith. There are two videos of very short videos, 3 minutes each, from the school, which we're going to share through the chat, so you guys can look at them and get a sense of what the whole school looks like. Now, we have nearly 800 alumni, and they have become members of parliament and mayors and party leaders, NGO directors. They've become heads of university departments. Now we've started to incorporate our earliest cohorts as they have, risen up in life as instructors in the school as well. And but those are not the metrics that we cherish most. We are big in evaluation. We do a lot of evaluation, and daily, weekly, and after several years. My personal favorite is asking them what has been the most important takeaway from this program years afterwards. And, we parade in front of them academics from Harvard and Oxford and best universities in Turkey. They don't remember those, or they remember them vaguely. What they remember most is conversations they held with people they tell us they would have never met. And the feeling, enduring feeling, that they too may have a point. This I find priceless, and this is an extremely high frequency answer we get, which I find interesting. Let me put it this way. These alumni also continue to work together. Some of them have written books together. I mean, from completely opposite ends of the political spectrum. They've organized rapid relief efforts after an earthquake, for example. They conduct critical research. And for us, the common feature of all these activities is that they require a lot of trust. And the fact that that level of trust can be achieved in 8 days is, I find, quite extraordinary. So we have 4 takeaways from 12 years of doing this. I'll list them and then stop so that we use our time well. My first takeaway is how easy and inexpensive this is to do. I find it stunning. And I also have to insist that the opportunity cost of not doing this is extremely high. So in terms of from a public policy point of view, I think this is up there together with, infant immunization and early childhood education. I mean, the most cost-effective intervention that any society can do. My second takeaway is being ready to argue that a conversation is the most miraculous capacity that we all have. You don't have to be literate. You don't have to be AI fluent. This is available to all of us, and it is a miraculous thing. Now, the etymology of conversation is interesting. Converse, changing together, okay? Not converging, but simply changing together. Now, this is different than, let's say, debate. Why? Because in a debate, any self-respecting debater is a finished product even before they've started. There is nothing that the other party can say that will lead them fundamentally to reassess their position, right? So that's why debate is uninteresting for me, and I don't understand why we glorify it so much. I think the quintessential democratic temperament is a conversation. Being ready, at least theoretically, to be changed a little by the person you meet. Okay, so I become the Mark Twain character who sees nails everywhere because he has a hammer in his hand. I mean, I cannot find a single issue today and in history that would not have benefited from a better, more wholesome conversation. We also see somatic results of this when during these evaluations, when we say, so what is your takeaway at the end of the week? We hear things like, I thought I knew this stuff, but now I feel it. Again, a signal to us that there is something, an important difference between knowing with your head and also knowing with your body, an issue that we are pursuing more intensely now. Third point relates to another etymology that exists, and this time for the term conscience, conscientia. In all the European languages, conscience is a derivative of knowing together. If we don't know together, there is no binding framework, binding normative framework. But if we know together, if we have discovered things together, then it becomes very difficult to unknow alone. I cannot deny what normative North Star we charted together. And maybe because of this, as some of you may know, I was sentenced to 18 years for attempting the overthrow the government and served 18 months of that 18 years. During that time, and declared an amnesty and prisoner of conscience. During that time, our alumni from the parties that advocated for this verdict, including hardline Islamists, said, we don't agree with this verdict. And they said it publicly. Now, this is important because these are political families that are not very conducive to dissent. But the 8th day of knowing together was enough to give them grounds to be the outlier, which I don't think is insignificant. And finally, my fourth and last takeaway is that this field is very crucial, but too new, too undermapped, and too understoried. That this is a field of activity that we need more systematic knowledge of, better maps of. So I'm deeply grateful to IFIT for convening the global polarization group, doing these, starting to do these Depolarization Thursdays. More institutions should join this mapping. We don't all need to burn our fingers on the stove to discover that it's hot, that we can share this know-how. And I think this is a vital know-how. If I Googled human rights and Turkey, a respectable list comes up. But if I Google polarization or depolarization and Turkey, a very haphazard list comes up. But this field of activity is too crucial for us to be satisfied with this level of information.